Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to the Roots Tech 2024 MC, Kirby Hayborn.
Hello! Jeff, Stacy, hi. Welcome, everybody, to the FamilySearch Global Forum. I'm Kirby Hayborn, your MC for today. Many of you are here. You're familiar with everything with Roots Tech and FamilySearch, the host. Many of you are users of FamilySearch, but what you may not have dabbled in the memories and the tree building and the records hints or even indexing, you may not understand just how global FamilySearch is. Today, we will have the privilege of hearing from 4 directors leading the global efforts of FamilySearch International. They, with their teams that dot the earth, are dedicated to helping all people connect with their family, past, present, and future. Please welcome to the stage Ann Harrison, Michael Colmier, Tom Gill, and Stephen Valentine.
Thank you.
Well, hello, and welcome to the FamilySearch Global Forum. We are so excited to be with you here today. And I am especially excited to be on stage with my friends and colleagues, these Homeland Directors at FamilySearch. They lead the efforts for FamilySearch operations around the world, and that's what we're going to be discussing today. So let's start with some introductions. My name is Ann Harrison. I am the Global Director of Engagement. And Michael, as each of you introduce yourselves, just so the audience can get to know you, why don't you tell us what you love about your job?
Okay, great. My name is Michael Colmier. I'm the Homeland Director over APACA, and you'll figure that out here in a second when I talk about it. What I love about my job is this. It's you. It's helping you to find your family in the past, to actually find your present family, and to prepare your family for the future. And when we come here and we feel what we feel, when we see your eyes and we hear what we hear, that's what I love about my job.
Thank you. Tom.
Well, in answering that, first off, my name is Tom Gill. I have Latin America. And I would say the one thing I don't love is probably this. But, you know, I've been with FamilySearch for 16 years now, almost. And one of the amazing things that I love is, like Michael said, is the chance to interact with people here at Roots Tech. And I've talked with many of you and seen many of you in the halls and things, and it's just a great opportunity. The other thing is FamilySearch has a great culture. We've had many awards for being a great place to work, and having the opportunity to work with these great individuals that you see here and also out in the hallways with the shirts on, the How Can I Help? It's really a great place to work. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen.
Yeah, Stephen Valentine, and I'm with North America, Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. And you know, they've kind of stolen the thunder already. I could just say ditto to all that, but I'm kind of the old guy. I've been here now about 26 years with FamilySearch, and I never planned on actually staying that long. But what happens is the cause is so great. The people are so wonderful. And what's the best thing is what they've all said. It's knowing that you can make a difference in somebody's life as they connect and find their family and find that family story that provides healing and resiliency and strength. That's a dream job. Why would you ever want to do anything else? So we're happy to be here.
That is so true. Thanks, Stephen. Well, on Thursday on this stage, Steve Rockwood, who is the CEO of FamilySearch, shared that at FamilySearch, our goal is to ask the question, how can we help? And then we try to answer that however is best for our patrons. That might be through a FamilySearch solution or product, and that might be through something in the industry. There are so many great resources out there. So how can we help? And then answer that question, however is best for the patron and their journey to remember. Now, speaking of remembering, that is the theme here today. And I want to ask our first question to Michael. Tell us a little bit about records preservation and how that helps people remember their story.
Well, that's a great question. Let's talk about that for a second, shall we? First of all, you need to understand we preserve records and get records all across the world. And we love what we do. In fact, we've been doing this since 1894. So we have a little bit of expertise in it. And we really, as our jobs as Homeland Directors, it's really to go find those records and pull them in. Now, in association with that, we thought it would be fun for you to be able to understand just how many records we pull in. In fact, you see these counters to the side. These are for the purpose of helping you understand that while we're here for this short hour, we're going to see how many records during this hour we actually captured. And that's really important for us, to help you to see how much is actually going on. So to help you understand the importance of capturing these records, we have a little video we'd like to show you.
Records. Words on a page. Images once captured, stored up, sometimes buried. Like a treasure waiting to be rediscovered. One in a million others just like it. But imagine what we could learn. Imagine what we could understand. Who we could become if we could simply remember. Within each record is a story from another time, a story of strength, resilience, and sacrifice. A story of celebration, loss, and new dreams. But to someone, a simple record could be that long searched for answer. That clue to who they are. Or that undeniable hope for healing. And record by record, a story can mean something. Its power can do something. Because that story, that record, is one in a million.
Thank you. That's why we collect records. It's that simple. You know, the sun never sets on our record collection because it is worldwide. In fact, we've collected records in over 200 countries around the world, and that continues to grow. And currently, we have 400 camera crews doing that service to help all of you and myself to find our families.
Thanks so much, Michael. Now, Stephen, you recently had an experience where remembering became really personal. Will you share with us more about that experience? Thank you.
Thanks, Ann. Well, it's an honor for me to be here. And about a year ago, I lost my beautiful, talented, wonderful mother. She passed away. And here's a picture of her. And of course, that's always difficult to lose your beloved mother. So as we went through the grieving process, I found that it was actually much, of course, more difficult for my father. And in those first couple of days, he found that he couldn't have pictures of her around the house. It was too painful. And so he was taking the pictures out and putting them downstairs. It was part of his process. The problem is it got kind of carried away, and then he started taking more of her things. And he got really carried away, and I went up the next day, and I started to find her documents, her photographs, her journals being thrown in the garbage can. And if I hadn't got there right when I did, we were going to lose them forever. So in the garbage can, we found boxes. I found this box, this tomato box, that was filled up with letters and a journal and pictures, not only of herself, but of her parents and grandparents. Priceless treasures as I went through this. It would have been gone forever had I not got there right at the right time and rescued those. Inside the box, in addition to all these wonderful things about my mom, I found this letter. And it unlocked a story about my grandfather that I never knew. And I don't think my mom knew much about this either, because she never shared any of this with us. That letter looked like it hadn't been opened in a long time. It was written in 1921. It was written by my grandfather, John Edgar Rasmussen. And he wrote this letter to the woman that he was in love with. And it was so fun to read this letter to this young lady that he was dating. And in fact, as I did more research, I found out he was very much in love. They were planning on getting married. And here I found a photograph of her. The only problem was, this is not my grandmother. I'm like, who is this person that he was going to marry? And why didn't he marry her? So as I did more research, I found an account that one day this young lady was working at the cherry orchards in Kaysville, Utah. And she wasn't well that day. She was sick, and she had been asked to go home. And so in the middle of the day, she was walking home, and she was in her coveralls, and she was covered with cherry stains. And the boys would mock her and tease her as she walked down the city streets because of how she was dressed. So she took to walking along a railroad track. And for whatever reason that day, she didn't hear the train coming. And she was struck and killed and thrown off that embankment down 20 feet. And then I knew from that story, why did my grandfather wait 7 more years to get married? What pain was he going through when he finally met my grandma, Anna Jensen, and married her? Why was he such a kind and considerate and wonderful father and grandfather? And I think it was because of that experience that he had. He'd lost somebody dear to him. And for the rest of his life, he was committed to making sure that everyone around him knew how much he loved them and took care of my grandmother. Now, why do I tell that story? Because you all have tomato boxes. You all have documents that need to be preserved, that need to be remembered, whether that's in your mind, things you haven't told yet, or that's documents like this. Please don't let them be lost. And as Michael says, that's why we go around the world, because sometimes your tomato boxes are in archives around the world. And we are racing the clock with our digital camera crews to get in there and capture those tomato boxes before they're gone forever. It is literally a race against the clock. So as you see that ticker going down, those are our camera crews right now actively collecting the tomato boxes that you need for your family. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Stephen. I love that personal experience, and I also love that it's not unique, right, to Stephen. Like you mentioned, so many of us have those tomato boxes. So many of us around the world are working to not only discover but preserve this rich heritage and remember our loved ones. So Tom, question for you. Tell us about how FamilySearch helps people discover and remember their family story.
Well, I was thinking, my father also passed away back in May, and we had a few of those tomato boxes. I'm pretty sure most of those were filled with 60-year-old wheat, but we have an opportunity. I know, one of the amazing things with those boxes is right down the street is the FamilySearch Library. Many of you have been there. Hopefully, you have all been down there. But there's many different tools and equipment to scan photos, to convert some even old VHS tapes. We have family history, or family search, I should get that right, family search centers throughout the world. More than 5,000 of those. Many of those have similar equipment that allows us to take those memories and preserve them and put them online, so that we can always remember and have those stories for others to be able to hear and to see. And so instead of taking all those boxes of tomatoes and sending them to Stephen Valentine's house, bring them on.
Bring them on.
Don't take them and drop them there, but you can take them and you can begin to convert those and store those and put those online. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'd like to ask all of you, the audience, a question now, and that is, where are your ancestors from? What are your homelands? Now, the way you're going to answer that is get out your phone, scan the QR code, whether you're here in person or you're viewing online, it'll work either way, and let us know, where are your homelands? I'm going to ask the homeland directors, just what's one of your homelands? Michael.
England.
England. Tom.
I'll take Stephen's Denmark.
No, you can't take Denmark. Everybody at FamilySearch is sick and tired of hearing me talk about Denmark. Sweden. How about it's so far away from Denmark?
Sweden. Okay, yeah. Sweden. I'm Sweden as well. So as these answers come in and as you scan this QR code and you add where your homelands are from, we're going to be seeing that on the stage in the word cloud. Okay, I'm seeing Germany, Ireland, England.
Come on, those from Latin America. Let's see some At least get somewhere you served your mission or something.
Wells, I'm seeing. Stephen, you've got the best view over there. What are you seeing?
We need to get Denmark popping up a little higher there, I think is what we have.
So truly, we are from all over the world and have ancestors all over the world. We're joined in this united effort. Well, now let's take a few minutes and ask each Homeland Director to introduce us to their homeland and some of the highlights in their homeland. So Michael, we'll start with you in Asia Pacific Africa.
Super. I just want you to know I have the best homeland anywhere. It's a little bit small, and the reason we call it APACA is because it's Asia, Pacific Islands, and Africa, just a little bit small. It's made up of 5.5 billion people, over 100 countries, 100 major languages with over 3,000 dialects. To say the homeland I work in is diverse is an understatement. It is crazy, the diversity in this group. But I have an incredible team that helps me. These are just a few of the people that help me that live in the areas and are what we call area managers to help work with archives, to help work with government officials, to work with members and other people to help gather records, to help them understand the importance of this work, to help to educate, and they really do the hard work. They do the hard work so much that they actually helped me by creating a video where we're going to show you some of the things we do in the area of Asia, the Pacific, and Africa.
The Asia Pacific and Sub-Saharan Africa regions encompass almost 100 different countries with over 100 official languages and 3,000 plus dialects. 77% of the world's population comes from this area of the world. FamilySearch employees from across the globe are working diligently to increase the number of genealogical records that are available from these regions so that individuals can easily discover their heritage and connect to their family. Let's take a look at some of the work that we're engaged in.
Japu are records of a certain clan or surname that usually contain the pedigree of patrilineal lineage, their biographical information, clan history, and their family values and teachings. Some of our Japu in our collection contain over 100 generations, dated back more than 3,000 years of ancestor information. We now have digitally preserved about 70,000 Japu titles, more than 60 million digital images, covering more than 500 Chinese surnames. We have 26 cameras currently digitizing Chinese Japu. These images are published on FamilySearch website, which is open to the public, making it the largest online Japu collection in the world. There's a rich family history and culture preserved in our collection of Chinese Japu.
In a dedicated effort spanning more than 50 years, FamilySearch has captured over 150 million images of historical records in the Philippines. This includes 8 million images of Catholic parish records, which is a treasure trove for research. The Philippines was colonized by Spain in 1565 and brought Catholicism to the islands. This ushered the start of 5 centuries of record keeping in the various ecclesiastical jurisdictions. FamilySearch began microfilming Catholic parish records in the Philippines in 1973 and has preserved records from as early as the 1620s. These records provide an unparalleled window into the past, offering insights into the lives of millions of people who lived in the Philippines and connecting them with their families across generations.
The oral tradition of passing down family stories and lineage is a key record among many countries across Africa. Families have often designated a storyteller who is responsible to memorize their tribe's oral tradition, including the names of ancestors going back from 6 to 30 generations. Since 2004, FamilySearch has worked to record as many oral histories as possible, receiving approval from local leaders such as village elders or chiefs. Contractors travel to remote villages, visiting homestead after homestead to interview and capture the family stories and genealogy on paper and by audio recording. FamilySearch has interviewed almost 2 million individuals from 20 countries, recording around 236 million family names, 8.3 million photos, 3.3 million audio recordings, and 1.7 million family stories. In a new experience, Find Your Ancestors in Africa, People from all over the world can easily search these oral histories by surname, tribe, or village for free at familysearch.org/Africa.
A bright future lies ahead of us as we preserve heritage, connecting generations across homelands, and it starts with building your family tree at FamilySearch.org.
Pretty amazing place, huh? But as I said, it's very diverse, and there's a lot of work going on. So something we're currently doing in these lands are to understand better the cultures, the people, and how we can better help them. So what we've done is we've gone to these various countries and done market research, worked with the people, the patrons there to understand more, what can we do to help you? One of those things is we take the FamilySearch.org website and we put a new landing page on it, like this Thailand landing page, where a family, a person, anybody can go to and feel more comfortable and make it more a part of their culture and what they understand. A great story is what happened in South Korea. We've been in South Korea for a number of years, but we found out quickly that in South Korea, they have 200 surnames that make up about 90 to 95% of the population, just 200. So we went out and we talked to the clan organizations. Each of these 200 have clan organizations that keep those lines, those family trees called jokbo. And they came to us and helped us to put together a landing page where anybody can go and click on a name, Lee, and they get to see the history of that family, where they're from, and to see family trees that they, jokbo, that they can possibly see. This helps the diversity in what we're doing across all of these very diverse countries. Lastly, you saw a little segment on oral genealogy. Oral genealogy is an amazing initiative. We've been in Africa, like they said, since 2004. But there's been an incredible amount of effort that's been put there when you see the number of interviews and how many names that we currently have in the database. Well, this is because there are tribes or groups of people there that have oral traditions. They don't have written records. So every time a tribe chieftain or families in that tribe die, we lose incredible amounts of information. So we're now expanding the work of our oral genealogy to go throughout the world. We're going to expand to 5 new countries this year. Let me give you an example of one. In the Philippines, we came to learn that there are 110 different indigenous tribes that all have oral traditions. We are working with the Minister of Indigenous Tribes from the Philippines, who is here this week, to help us to start going and helping them with their oral traditions in the Philippines. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Michael. Wow, 77% of the world's population. That is no small task. Thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Now, Tom, Latin America is kind of on fire with interest in family history. Tell us about your homeland. Tell us about some of the highlights.
All right. Michael may have all the people, but we have all the users, right? It might be a surprise, but you know, you're putting this, since the statistics are showing up on the screen, it's no longer a surprise, but 1 in 3 of each of our users of FamilySearch is from Latin America. 1 in 5, roughly 20% of all of our users are from Brazil. Of all the new accounts that were created in FamilySearch last year, nearly half of those came from Latin America. The 360 million records may not seem like a lot, but it's pretty significant, and the significance really is that those were all done by computers. We had 100 million records published last year that significantly increased the searchable records in many countries, including Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Bogota, Guatemala, Chile, Peru. You can keep going down the list. Essentially, every country almost in Latin America received a significant increase in searchable records last year. Some remarkable things are happening there. I'd like to also just show you a picture of our team. We have teams throughout Latin America But more significantly, when we organized by homeland, we also got resources within here in Salt Lake that work specifically with Latin America and with each of the other homelands. You can see some of those if you're here in person, to go into the expo hall and see the little families, in the Family Search booth, the little Latin America corner. We have one for each of the homelands in there. It's an attempt to show a little bit of what we're doing globally. And if you're online, I would encourage you to look for some of our Facebook channels. One thing that we haven't done great at, that we need to do better, is to reach out to the diaspora, those that live here in Salt Lake that share homelands in Latin America. One of the things that's been happening in Latin America is we've had several little mini events. This first one is a book fair that was held in Buenos Aires last May. We'll do that again in May of this year. But really a remarkable thing where we essentially created a little booth, had QR codes with experiences, brought in volunteers to help people build trees, create accounts. And this was by far the most popular booth at the book fair. And these book fairs in Latin America are huge. They get 1.5 million visitors. We had nearly 40,000 new accounts that were created in the 3 weeks. Many new names added to the tree, just a remarkable thing. We've also been holding VIP events with archivists where we can bring them together and share with them some of the things that we do. We also have brought some to Roots Tech. We have 10 from Latin America here this week and have had some remarkable meetings. They're blown away when they come and they see the whole scope and scale of what happens here at Roots Tech. And one of the things that we've learned as we've worked together and looked at these is the importance of connecting across between multiple homelands. For example, in Latin America, we need records from Spain and from Africa and other places. Those in North America may need Latin America records. There's a connection. We can't just look at this in a silo. The other thing that we have up here is with having homeland teams, it allows us to build, as Michael showed, some of the customized home pages. We also can create experiences that are localized and tailored to our homelands. One of the biggest challenges we had is new people came in and created accounts. Many of them fell out. It was hard to build their tree. We have this new experience that we've just rolled out called a guided tree. And just for example, what's happened with this has been remarkable. On Monday, there was an Instagram post that somebody did in Brazil, a man with millions of followers. This one Instagram post in 3 days has already been viewed 12 million times. It's been shared nearly 1 million times. We've had nearly, well, over 100,000 new accounts created, more than 1 million names by those new account holders in just 3 days. And that might not sound a lot, but that is just mind-boggling numbers for Latin America. We have other experiences that you may see if you come to the booth called a surname experience that we've used. It's been a great way to start and get people connected to the simple question of, would you like to know the origin of your last name? It can lead to other discussions and a discovery that is really quite remarkable. Many of you have also seen the Get Involved app. It's a great little app that allows us to take what the computers have indexed, and this is particularly important for Latin America. We call it the Participa app. But you can simply look for what country or what area you want to look at, and it will serve up the names that the computer has looked at and said, is this Jose, yes or no? And you can easily go on. A remarkable little tool that we have there. Lastly, just want to mention a few we have, I think I might have one of these in here, a little card. This doesn't show up very well, but we've used these little pass-along cards with QR codes to share some of the experiences easily with people that we've rode in with taxis or Uber drivers and others. But it's been a great way to share quickly kind of who FamilySearch is, help them find some experiences that create discovery, and allow them to quickly begin to think a little bit more about their families. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. I love how the things you're developing for Latin America, the experiences like the Easy Tree Builder, can be used around the world, right? Because so many people need that kind of same functionality, but it's born out of the needs of our Latin America.
Out of a
patrons.
homeland.
Thank you. Okay, so Stephen, North America and Europe, tell us what's going on.
Oh, thank you very much. This has been a lot of fun. He has all the answers, all the people, all the answers. We have all the fun, I think is what it is here. But no, we have a great time. What I really love is what Thomas said and Michael. We rely on each other as homelands. I think you saw this up on the screen. The records that I need are not from Utah. They're not from even North America. They're from Denmark and Germany. And that's true for all of us. You all in this room, what you need, the records and the information you need are all around the world, so we have to work together. A little bit in North America, we started the Genealogical Society of Utah in 1894 right here in Salt Lake City. We've been microfilming since 1938. We have a tremendous collection of records. I think we're a little spoiled that just about anybody with North American roots can find an ancestor. So now we're innovating. We're saying, well, what can we do to make that more of an experience? How can we make that more fun and more engaging? And back to our theme of Roots Tech, how can we help you to remember your ancestors? So we're excited that we're launching a new experience here at Roots Tech. And Craig Miller was on stage a few days ago and somebody asked him, what if I'm driving around and there's a cemetery nearby? How would I know if I have a relative there? And Craig says, I can't tell you. And it's because he didn't want to steal my thunder, and I love Craig for that, because I wanted all the glory myself. So here I am launching this great new experience that we have around cemeteries. And so for my mom, I'll make it personal. My mom was buried in the Brigham City Cemetery just about a year ago. Now I can come in and I can search by her name and find out what cemetery she's in. Or I can simply type in Brigham City, because I knew that's where she was. And I can go to that cemetery and I see all the people that were buried at the Brigham City Cemetery. So, almost 15,000 people buried there in the Brigham City Cemetery. Now I could search by her name and get right to her as well. But here's what's really fun, and this is the innovation. If you sign in to FamilySearch, we read your tree, we look at what's in the cemetery, and we can tell you, here's all the people you're related to in that cemetery. So I have over 300 people related to me in the Brigham City Cemetery, which means I'm gonna have to buy a lot of flowers on Memorial Day now when I go there. That's a big problem for me. But I had no idea. After all my years, I grew up in Brigham City. I had no idea that I had so many relatives in that cemetery. Now that's pretty cool, but I could even back up and say, well, what about, and also, of course, you want to go see the headstone, right? And so thanks to our wonderful friends at Billion Graves and Find a Grave, we can link you right over and actually see that headstone, of course. Because that's what you really want to see. You want to get right to that headstone and know where it is. When you get to the cemetery, there's 300 places to go. You need to find out where they are. So we're able to guide you with our friends to that experience as well. What's really cool is I can say, well, let me back up a little bit. Let me see, what about the rest of Box Elder County? Well, here's all the cemeteries where my ancestors are found. What about northern Utah? And every one of these that are lit up, I have ancestors in all these cemeteries. That's pretty cool, right? But I could back up even further and say, what about the United States? What about the world? We have over 300,000 cemeteries already loaded, and more are coming. This is a global experience, and we think it's so cool we want you to try it out. So get out your phones and scan that QR code and try it out for yourself. If the cemetery's not there quite yet, it's coming. We're adding all the time. We're adding more information all the time. We're really excited about this. We think this is going to be a fun, engaging new way for you to remember your ancestors. So please come and try it out. All right, a little bit now about, and hopefully, we won't lose you the rest of the time while you're checking out the cemeteries, but that's okay too, because that's a fun experience. Just a little bit about Europe. I'm just going to highlight just a few things about Europe. You know, we've been there for a very long time, microfilming and then digitizing records. That's 50 countries, 26 languages, a lot of diversity there. We have a tremendous set of records, but there's big gaps as well. And you know, Tom was talking about what's going on in Brazil. Well, we need Portuguese records and Italian records for Brazil and many other areas. So we've been actively working on that. We have an amazing team, like Michael and Tom do in their areas. Here's some of our team members from our Europe team, and actively going throughout Europe trying to gather the records that you need and those tomato boxes you need. So here's a few examples. This year, very excited. We've been in Portugal for 45 years. Microfilming and then digitizing their records. And this year, we're now launching for Portugal, 130 million images and over 700 million names will come online this year for the first time ever. So we're really excited. For those of you who have Portuguese ancestors, we know that's going to be a huge thing in Latin America. Another project that's been years in the making is in Italy, where this has actually been our single largest digitization project that FamilySearch has undertaken to date. And that's going to launch. The majority of that content is going to come online this year. And so you see over 500 million names, 200 million images that are going to come available online. So we're really excited for Italy. And then one last highlight is in Ukraine, where have been working for the last 3 years. We've been digitizing records at a very rapid pace. We're already up to 40 million images in Ukraine, and we're indexing and digitizing those as quickly as we can. So just a few highlights of what we're doing in Europe to help you from around the world.
Thanks so much, Stephen. Now, we'd like to give you the opportunity to ask some questions of our Homeland Directors if you have any questions about what we are doing around the world at FamilySearch. So get out those phones again, scan the QR code. Again, whether you're in person or online, you can use this QR code. As you're thinking of your questions, I'm going to start with a couple, and I would like to ask Tom, first of all, are you seeing growing interest in family history among young people and also non-researchers? Are they getting more interested in family history?
Okay, excellent. I thought you were going to ask, my kids are probably asking for more allowance or something, right? With youth, it's been interesting. When I started, there were very few youth that were doing family history. Now today, you'll see many of them that are here. It's been remarkable here at RootsTech. We have kids that pay their own way to come, you know, and they've been coming for many years. What used to be virtually no youth doing family history has grown to be literally hundreds of thousands. It's also been something that, you know, as we've created simpler tools and we've moved from making it, well, we've simplified so many ways, which has allowed many to discover and do things with family history that doesn't have to be research and doesn't have to be hard. And one of the things that we really look for is how do you create simple tools that allow just the everyday users or the first timers to really have an experience that turns their heart and doesn't turn their stomach. So,
can I add to that as well? I love what Tom's saying. I remember when I was a kid, we had these big 4-generation sheets that my mom would bring out, and I just wanted to pay to run instead of pay to play, right? But what we're finding now is the fastest growing demographic at FamilySearch is that 18 to 30-year-old market. And the reason why that is they're coming and they're seeking to know about themselves. You know, sometimes we think of family history is about some distant ancestor. They need to know their own identity. In a world that's so confusing and so much social media and other messages, they're coming to find themselves. And they find strength and resiliency and purpose and confidence in themselves. And it's so exciting to see that. We've seen that this week with the thousands of people who've been here, the young people.
Yeah. I think the other thing that's great about the youth is that they open up to us new ideas on how to look at it. I mean, as we know, Steve constantly has said, you know, this is the most documented age of all time with all the selfies and stuff. But they find ways to help show us the family and can help deliver those messages and tell those stories.
That's so true. I'm just thinking of the young adult event we had last night and how there was just so much energy and excitement. And as they participated in the Puerto Rico service project, doing some family history activities, it was just like not hard at all, right? Some in the older generation, I'll put myself there. It's a little bit more tricky to use some of the technology, but not for this group.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, think of that. We had what, 5,000 young adults here last night. Much more than in the audience right here, right now. But one of the coolest things we did last night was connect them to a group of young adults in Puerto Rico, which was one of the first times. And we'd like to see more of that, where we can actually connect them together, because so many of them feel isolated in doing this. But family history helps them to connect, not only just with their own family, but across to others that extend beyond.
That is so true. Okay, here's a question that's come in, and I'm going to ask Stephen, but anyone else chime in. Why is a focus on diaspora communities so important, and what is FamilySearch doing to help?
Yeah, thanks. It's such a great question. I think we've been touching on this, and I hope that you've picked that up. So it's interesting, when we talk to certain archives or certain organizations or governments, they, of course, focus on their records. They have to. That's what their mandate is. They focus on their collections and their archive. But we can't do that, right? We love and support that, but our patrons, our members, our people coming to FamilySearch, they're looking everywhere. So that means we have to connect them everywhere, which is why our records, but also our tree is so fundamental, right? As we connect into the tree, what we find immediately is those tree connections go global. And so our friends throughout Latin America, we find out they need records in Spain and Mexico. The Philippines diaspora is global, yes, right? People all around the world need to come back into the Philippines and find those records. So we are a global family. We can't think just about one or two countries. We have to think about the whole world.
I mentioned that Instagram post that went out. Well, it started in Brazil, but it crossed quickly over into Portugal as well, and things are exploding in Portugal. So.
Yeah, thank you. So Michael, a question for you. What about the importance of living memory? And maybe you can define what living memory is, and then how is FamilySearch trying to help with living memory?
Great question. So living memory is no more or no less than just us going out and starting to preserve information about the family we know today. It may be that you go out, and we actually have an app called Memories. And you could take that app or many of other apps and go to Grandpa, Grandma, or in our case, Mimi and Papa, and go and ask them questions and just let them talk. It's the opportunity to take bunches of pictures and maybe put down below them some description or some information about what that picture was, what was the event, etc. It's creating family trees, but it's simply going out and starting with your parents and your grandparents and just letting the feel of it, the spirit of it, start to envelop the family, tell the family stories. So living memories is nothing more, nothing less, again, of us gathering information about our families for our posterity.
Yeah, I think for us, we've been doing this for a long time, and we have tremendous amount of content. The hardest place for us actually is in the modern period. It's between right now to about 1950. That's actually the hardest part. And you think that'd be the easiest, but it's not, right? We don't, that's the gap, and it's the gap that you can close. It's your tomato boxes, right? It's what you know, and we need to get that documented. We need to get it in the tree. We need you to share memories, not for us, but so that your family has those, so your family can connect, that resiliency, that dependence. But that is the gap. That's the importance, as Michael said, of living memory.
Yeah, thank you. Today's living memory is tomorrow's past, right? And it's that documentation that helps us then connect with all the trees. So thank you so much. Okay, another question here, and let's have Tom answer this one. What new experiences is FamilySearch creating to help us remember? You talked a little bit about that, but tell us more about some of these new experiences.
Well, I think, Stephen showed one with the cemeteries. What a great way to look and discover. I just love that. There's many people that walk into a cemetery, and what's the first thing they want to know is, am I related to anyone here? One of the best things that we, with RootsTech is the relatives at RootsTech. That was a great way to easily, that's been around for a while. But things like the guided tree that we've developed. It's just a much easier way. Most of you won't ever see it because it's for someone brand new, but many of you will have others that will come into the to FamilySearch, and it will help people that are coming for the first time. Everyone that adds and builds is a benefit to us because eventually it starts connecting and helping us all extend our trees. I think it's just a lot of, we heard the other day about some of the other tools that we're developing with family groups, this new Connect app and things. We have several things that are out there that continue to be developed to help people discover and make it more simple.
Great. Any other thoughts from anyone else?
I think that the innovation now, and we saw this with Michael's as well, is the key thing is now it's in language in so many countries of the world. And these experiences are being created are really localized experiences that will be personalized for them, right? Things that are of interest to them. So what we might have in North America is going to be very different from in Michael's areas. And that's a great progress for us.
It's been extraordinary to see in the homelands as we've started to put these new landing pages in place and starting to localize this experience for all these different cultures. The response has been amazing. We've seen fourfold users coming on when they see and they start to understand based from their perspectives. We have to remember, we're not the only society that reads left to right. We're not the only society that looks at our trees in the way we look at them. In Asia, they start way back in 200 or wherever, and that family line from, as Elder Gong says, Father Gong, they look at things very differently.
So true. Well, thank you. Okay, Stephen, a question for you about commercial companies. The question is, what is FamilySearch's relationship with commercial companies?
Yeah, we get this question all the time. Of course, we're a nonprofit, FamilySearch. We're sponsored by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and yet people come to RootsTech and they see Ancestry here and MyHeritage and Find My Past and many, many others out in the expo hall. We love our friends in the industry. We want more and more friends in the industry like that. What we see is innovation. You've seen that throughout this conference. We've seen innovations in DNA. We've seen innovations in artificial intelligence and in so many other experiences. We've seen so much investment that they're putting into bringing more records available to all of us. Everybody wins when there's more technology, when there's more content, when there's more ways to share. We're just delighted by that. We want that to grow around the world because, since we started in 1894, we started simply by saying, how can we help others? And now that's continuing on today. We don't do anything without our partnerships around the world, and we're so delighted about it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely. Our partners they're what keep this industry going, right? We couldn't do this without so many.
And I might even add that it's not just commercial partners in there. We have incredible relationships around the world with the Catholic Church and with Jewish leaders and others. Absolutely. And they're great friends and have helped us immensely.
Thank you. Okay, Michael, tell us a little bit more about oral genealogy and why that's such a focus for FamilySearch.
The number one thing I can say about it is once you go out and you experience doing these oral genealogies with these tribal chiefs, for example, and we went out just recently and did one, and he was able to give us over 700. It was like 736 names that he remembered in progression, and then some of the side families and things, and talked about his experiences in that. He passed away 2 days later, and we were just like, wow, what if we hadn't have caught that? And now we look at how many people are passing away all the time. And then when we started opening up and started saying we need to get out to these other oral tradition groups is important. An event that Stephen did in Granada, Spain, we had a gentleman from Cape Verde come. And he came up to us, and it was, I wouldn't say desperate, but there was pleading in his eyes. And he said, what can you do for us? We desperately need your help. We don't have the means to do this, but we're on oral traditions so much in these islands. Can you come? And that's one of the new islands and new nations we'll be actually helping with this year.
Thank you so much. Okay, a question coming in about DNA and what is the role of DNA and how does FamilySearch view it? Stephen, would you share?
Would you give me the hard questions? Is that what it is? Well, I would
been
put
here
that
for 26 years. Come on.
Yeah.
I would put that exactly in the same category of what I just talked about with our friends in the industry, which is, FamilySearch is not going to invent it all. We simply can't. We have this huge global mission. We are delighted, so delighted that others are innovating in this space. We want everybody to take advantage of it. We want everybody to be able to take a DNA test as it makes sense for them and make those connections. We love that. And we're so glad that there's so many companies out there that are providing those services, because as those genetic trees are being built, that's connecting the living to their cousins. And then, we are then delighted to help them get into these records and other content from around the world. So I think the same question would be asked about artificial intelligence. Are we going to be able to provide all the artificial intelligence tools? No. And that's fantastic that we're not, because there's all these other providers and friends that can do that. So we are cheering them on, and we're so excited for it.
Yep, it takes everyone. Thank you. So I love this question that just came in. It says, how can we as individuals help? We've been talking about the question FamilySearch has, how can we help? But one of our audience members has said, how can they help? Tom.
Okay. I mentioned the Get Involved. The Get Involved has multiple things that allow you to help the effort. Simply just going in and checking names, well, what that does is it helps the computer the next time run through in kind of a feedback loop of improving that over and over. The nice thing that we had is we had all the experience for all the volunteers that have been indexing for so long that allowed us to basically run those through a computer to say, all right, when you see this, think Jose, or think, John or Joseph, and this is Smith, and you can help to, teach the computer that, no, this is not, John. And there's multiple things. There's tree hinting things. There's other things to build the tree. Really, when you look at the experiences that we have, the experiences really tie back to the tree. When the tree is full and complete, we mentioned Puerto Rico. We have a remarkably well-built tree from the help of a record linking lab at BYU, and many are involved with that in attaching hints and things. That's a remarkable thing that helps, because then we can serve up experiences that help people discover.
Can I say one thing here? I am so passionate about this topic. For many years, I was involved very closely with many of our volunteers, and just quickly, I met a wonderful woman down in Provo, and because of some issues that she'd had in her health, she could only use these 2 fingers. And she would sit at night, she'd wake up at 2 in the morning because she couldn't sleep, and she typed and indexed with these 2 fingers. She did over 1 million records with those 2 fingers. And I think about her contribution and what it did for her and what it's done for us. And many of you here have participated with us, and we want to thank you. We love you. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. We are honored.
That's truly a testament to everyone can do something, right? The technology has advanced so much that anyone can participate, anyone regardless of their skill level, right? There's some things that we need the professional genealogist to do, but there's so many things that others can do. Thank you. So we have a question here about the cemetery search that you talked about, Stephen. Does the cemetery search work in Europe?
That's a great question, and I would invite you to come to our booth and try it out. But we are loading more cemeteries all the time. We're going to be adding more language translation to that experience. So this is not a North American experience. This is going to be a global experience. We're just rolling it out right now, so it's not all the way where we want it to be, but it's coming fast. So keep stay tuned. That's going to be it's a global experience. So thanks for the question.
I had that same question about Latin America, and we'll get there eventually, right? So as we add more in,
we are moving quickly. Yeah, thank you.
It's funny you bring up the cemetery thing. Just this last couple months, we've signed deals working with our partners to start collecting information in Thailand, Korea, Japan, and other countries in Asia that we're going to be contributing to that. So we're running as fast as we can to get that information.
A global experience for sure.
So cool. So Michael, a question for you. It says, how can we as family history enthusiasts help you to get more records for our area of interest? And all the Homeland Directors, is there something that our users can do to help FamilySearch get more records?
You know what's interesting is that as I fly around the world and meet with members, I'm amazed at how many connections people have to whether it's with government officials or archives or, and it seems that we have an opportunity to help us understand who's there and make good impressions in the respect that we want to help them. Of course, we go out and we say, we want to preserve your records. And we do this for free, and we explain why. But it's the people in the lands that are viewed as really good examples that help us the most to prove who we are.
Yeah.
Because when we go travel, they don't know us. But when we have members of the church or patrons from this that know who we are and can help other people to understand what we do from another person's view, that helps tremendously.
Great. Well, I know we're short on time, so Michael, I want to turn it over to you. Tell us about this ticker for our images and where we're up to.
Let's see. We're at, oh my heavens, 28,000, almost 29,000. Okay, Stephen and Tom, let's do a little math here. Okay, now how many work days a year are we doing this? We work our missionaries and volunteers pretty hard. If I'm not mistaken, can this be right? We're gonna bring in over 200 million records this year, and if I'm not mistaken, Tom, that equates to how many possible people, individual people?
200 million.
At least 200 million.
At least.
At least 200 million. And that's just what FamilySearch is doing. Think what all of you can do also to help us and our partners. We again thank you for everything you do to help us, and we are all about helping to remember those around us.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ready?
All right. Thank you, Ann, Michael, Tom, and Stephen, for all of your insights. This concludes our final Roots Tech Forum. In 30 minutes, we'll be starting our final general session with Broadway sensation Kristen Chenoweth. So sit tight and come on back. I'm sure that all of you know that Family Discovery Day is in full swing with loads of fun activities and games for everyone to enjoy. So check it out in our expo hall. It's just right over there. Before it closes, today it closes at 3 p.m. So I'm excited to do our general session. So thank you all so much, and we will see you soon. Thank you.